I stand beside the bedside. His life is slipping away, and he murmurs, "Why is this happening to me? I've kept my religion. What's the good of a religion when it lets you down like this?" He had reckoned on his religion giving him life and health continuously, but his religion had let him down. He was a little bit like Job in the Old Testament. He too felt he should have expected something better than this, but he felt his God had let him down. Studies show that smoking is not good for your health, but people don't believe it. They keep smoking. Studies show that religion is good for your health. People don't believe it. They stay right away from it. The Bible passage from the epistle to the Colossians commended understanding, insight, harmony, maturity, and growth as part of a good religion. Now, many people would accept those items, all good, but they don't see religion as necessary or desirable or helpful or even enjoyable. Religion has become so tangled up and confused with notions about God, rewards and punishments, with all those beliefs that really, so many of them are unbelievable. How can religion be put alongside harmony and growth when religion and religious bodies are frequently tearing themselves apart in conflict and divisions? If you asked a group of people, taken at random, to free associate around the word religion, I suspect that they would quickly give 30 or 40 associated words, but growth and health would not get a mention. So the question today for me is this: is there a link between your health and your religion? A positive link. If religion is good for your health, why do so many people stay away from it? So put all that talk of religion aside for just a moment. Put it over there. And let me focus on some of the things that we know about, some of the things that I think we'd probably say, hopefully say yes to. We know that too much stress, ineffectively managed, puts our health at risk. We know that continued anger and hostility and brooding resentment and rage can put our health at risk. We know that worrying and unsettled conflict can put your health at risk. We know that erratic and destructive lifestyles can put your health at risk. We know that the distress of a broken heart, unmanaged grief and bereavement can put your health at risk. We know that refusing to accept the realities of everyday life and manage them can put your health at risk. All those things we'd probably have heard about, read the studies about, would tick each one in turn. So now bring religion back onto the table and run through those items that I've just mentioned. Does your religion have anything to say about the management of your daily stress, your anger and hostility, your worrying, your unsettled conflicts, your troubled relationships? Does your religion have anything to say about erratic and destructive lifestyles, about your grief and bereavement, about your acceptance and management of your everyday realities? Now, I know that many people would say the religion has nothing to do with those items. Nothing at all. Others would say that going to church and doing the religious exercises, studying the religious books, can all take place and yet have no impact whatever on those items that affect us every day. Our grief, our worry, our troubled relationships, our anger, our hostility, our broken hearts, our wounded spirits, our empty loneliness, our emotional dysregulation. So how do we put these things together? I'm going to say this. Religion comes, as it were, in two vehicles, each carrying things that could be relevant to your health. The first vehicle is loaded with external things. This vehicle is about behaviour. It's about lifestyle. It's about political and social institutions. Religion has something to say about violent behaviour. As we approach St. Michael's Day, I hope that we will have quite a lot to say about the prevention of violent behaviour. But religion has long since lost its voice. It has nothing to say about street violence up the other end of town. It has nothing to say about education and our corrective systems in which street violence is often incubated. Religion has something to say about peace and goodwill, especially as we come to the end of the year. At least once a year we use those words. But its voice is silent when it comes to the vast spending on really pointless wars, or the waste that has occurred in trying to formulate a workable policy regarding asylum seekers, where even the very basic golden rule has been discarded in favour of political and prejudicial, puerile argumentation. So where are we with these things? Religion has something to say on such things as compassion. Yet that voice, yes, it is heard. It is heard, but the needs of compassion are so great that the voice of religion is often too muted. We hear people like Dick Smith, a philanthropist well known in this country, again and again saying there are so many wealthy people in this country, and the needs of compassion are so great that we can't get the two to get together in any substantial way. We hold on to our money, we hold on to our wealth, and we don't see that compassion is so basic to what? In all these external things, religion is not the only voice, of course, but even where it whispers, sometimes that whisper could change the hearts of men and women. We need to at least whisper with the religious voice on those various matters. Religion has a voice on matters of political systems, on how governments will operate. Of course, we're told to stay out of politics. Precisely the opposite is where we should be, to talk about politics and governments. Will religion be silent in the face of torture and tyranny? Will religion be silent as children in our homes and suburbs are continually abused and traumatized? Can we go on without saying something about these things? Religion has a voice to speak to the health of human communities, but often the institutions of religion are so hinged onto outdated and destructive ideology and dogma, and so their stance on such things as contraception, on birth control, on safe-sex practices, has often brought generation after generation of disease and suffering and early death to millions of people. Does religion have anything to say on these external issues which deeply affect people's mental health, their physical survival, their diet, their food, their bodies, their minds, their health concerns? The other vehicle of religion, the first vehicle was the vehicle carrying the externals. The other vehicle is the one that drives into our internal life. And I began today, the service today, to read you one of the psychological studies that was focusing on how we feel in the inner life and its connection with religion. So this vehicle is about the inner life, our inner beingness, our personality, our private spiritual reflections, the role of faith and the renewal of faith. On the one hand, the religion of the external vehicle may point to society's protection of children, the prevention of transmissible disease, the provision of safe water and clean air. The religion of the internal vehicle looks to our inner life, our inner strengths, the inspirations of religion. And so people say, I find a deep, persuasive inner peace in my religion. I get something from my religion that I can get nowhere else. I'm in touch with an inner peace that seems to lift me out of myself and places me within a larger dimension. I find myself being grateful for life's gifts. And a persuasive sense of acceptance and worth comes over me when I pause to get in touch with my religion. My religion tames my tempestuous inner turmoil. So here we're into talking about the place of an inner faith. Faith has a part on the externals, of course, but now this is the faith of the internals. And as we talk about the internals of faith, the role of faith, we need to note that it is something about the way we think, the cognitive side of our brain activity. It is something that arouses our motivation. It's a motivational factor, faith. Faith is something that furnishes our inner world with goodness and beauty and kindness. Faith is something that gives a focus and energy to our life. It is something commended in the Gospels as being part of the process of recovery. It is not the only thing that contributes to these processes, but it's commended as being part of them. The cognitive part of life, of our thinking, the focus and energy of life, the inner furnishings of our life, and so on. At each of those 5 areas that I named, at each of those 5 areas, and indeed often in all of them, faith can go stone dead. Stone dead. And that's why faith needs to be something that is continually made new. When I talk about a new faith, so many people want to close the doors. We don't need a new faith. Oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do. I use the basic language of both Old and New Testaments where it says, behold, I am making continuously, I am making all things new. Let all things be new, even your personality. Now notice I have been speaking about these 2 vehicles of religion, the external and the internal. And I've not mentioned the word God once. The inner and external vehicles can operate from a theistic God-type background or from a non-theistic, non-mentionable God background. Both vehicles are charged to bring us out of our narrow, neurotic, fearful, unevolved religion of fundamentalism and pietism and see a much larger world and be part of a much larger world. Both vehicles charge us to come out of our narcissistic, egotistic prisons to find a real energy of a new faith that speaks meaningfully to our daily stresses and puts them in a new light. A faith that steadies us and reduces our impulsive reactivity to stress and our physiological imbalances that so often follow. We're looking for a faith that changes our worldview and our view of ourselves as we take our part in the world. Ill health, disease, injury and suffering can hit any one of us. And of course we wonder, why is it happening to us? That's a common experience. But ill health and hard times can come, we know, from human behaviour, from our lifestyles, from mixed up attitudes and messed up religion, from experiences imposed upon us, from physical conditions in the environment. You know all this. From economic conditions, from airborne disease, from birth defects, from deterioration and dementia, mental stress and anxiety and emotional turbulence all play a part. All play a part. And we know it if we only pause. Without a single word of theological mumbo-jumbo being spoken. Without any involvement in the controversies about the existence of God. Without any talk about the bad behaviour or the good behaviour of the churches. I would ask you to think just this. Think of how a new faith is needed, and how it can become an active part, a part of active goodness in the world. How? By being part of the processes of prevention, the prevention of illness, the prevention of traumas, the prevention of suffering. By being part of the flow, helping us to cope better. With what attitudes will we bring to our stresses? With what kind of personality? With what kind of faith in ourselves and in the future? Think, would you, about a new faith. A new faith that says something to the lifestyle and how it will enlarge your health and your well-being. Think, will you, about a faith that helps us to rejoice in the small progress of cure where cure is possible. How it can keep alive those sustaining and supportive processes that help us, becomes one of the important parts of the vehicles of religion, both external and internal. We do know this. People high on a positive faith, whether it's a theistic faith or a spirit faith, a good faith. We know that people who have some awareness of a faith report lower stress, lower reactivity to stress, and they report a different way of coping. And therefore we might expect that they will be at lower risk of stress-related health problems and conditions of anger, hostility, violence, anxiety, and depression. So that the faith issue is a major component and ought to be a major component. People high on harmony, inner harmony, high on harmony in interpersonal relationships, high on harmony with the higher scene, if you like, the higher sense of spirit, the God beyond all our little gods. These people with harmony, constantly renewed and re-energized, are likely to be more in tune with the processes of healing and hope, the processes of positive emotion and positive good life forces. And if that is so, we might expect that their exposure to health risks are somewhat reduced. So we might say again, what aspects of religion affect good health outcomes? Well, of course, the environments of caring are so important. And that is very much part of our religion. Religion is not the only institution of caring, but it ought to be central to it. Relationships that honour self-worth and the worth of others, very much part of our religion. Not the only institution that can provide that, but it should be part of our religion. Good positive emotions continually re-energised. Well, if you see the church and religion as I see it at times, we are often into negative emotions and are not trying to get any energy into positive emotion. Rather, we're energising our negative emotions and keeping them alive. We go searching. Negative emotions want company. It's so very infectious. So we need to break in on that infection. Find groups of strong belonging that are pledged more and more to the positive emotions. Lifestyles low in conflict and negativity. Groups that sing together. Indulging in spiritual exercises and symbols that are positive reminders of our part and place in that wider perspective. We're looking for a religion with inspirational faith trajectories. Studies show that there is a link between religion and health. But we need to ask, what aspects of health? What vehicles of religion? What kind of religion? It is clear from human behaviour that most people see that religion doesn't have much to do with health. It is clear that most religious training of clergy and religious people do not give any place to this connection. Do you know, the whole of my religious training, this connection was not mentioned once. It is clear that people don't want to go through church activities as part of their health prevention or health sustainability. And yet we need to open the conversation. The new faith sits and stands by this strong principle that we want to open up a dialogue, a discussion, so that people and all of us will realise how much health needs a much stronger voice from religion, good religion, so that it will play a critical part for better understanding. Remember the words from the passage today, for better understanding, for greater insight, for positive growth, for strength, for harmony. Religion and health. Would you please stand? Would you pause for the blessing? May the God you see in all the colours of creation arouse in you a sense of awe and wonder. May the God who is a sacred presence be real to you. May the God who is a source of inspiration and courage keep calling you forward. May your God go with you and bless you today and always.